Hey everyone, so we have 24 commentator roster announced for the Paralympics. They are not doing every single event of the Paralympics. They are not. There's going to be some events that still use like the world feed. But all the medal events, all the medal events that are on like USA Network or Peacock or NBC or all the televised events in like curling and the mixed team and the mixed doubles and the sled hockey. They're going to have NBC. They're going to have, and then if there's Peacock, like medal events in Peacock, they're on like USA Network or CNBC or NBC for whatever reason. They're going to have them show. They're going to have Peacock announcers. Most likely, I'm assuming they're gonna have like NBC announcers. We're doing the ones on TV on Peacock. If it's like joint in progress, say start at 20, say half hour on Peacock, and the last half hour is on USA Network or CNBC or NBC. They will. And they're gonna have Ahmad Fareed, Brittany Courtney Godfrey, Lacey Henderson, Wigman, and Chris Waddell, service host, and Courtney Godfrey, Lacey Henderson, Wigman, and Chris Waddell are going to be the first disabled hosts of the Paralympic Winter Games, which is awesome. Which is awesome. I love that. Ahmad Fareed and Brittany Earn did the Olympic Winter Games. Ahmad Fareed did the Olympic Winter Games he was in Paris for not Paris, in Milan. He was in Milan for like part of NBC's studio coverage of the Olympics, of the Winter Olympics. He was part of that. He was part of like NBC Late Night. He was part of. Which is NBC's late night show at 11:35 Eastern, which dives into the Paralympics, which dives into like the Olympics. That was at 11:35 Eastern. It was on. He did that for a few days in place of Maria Taylor. Because Maria Taylor is flying she was not in Paris for the beginning part of it because of the Super Bowl. She wasn't. She was doing NBC Late Night, which after the local news, which is basically where you see like stuff that you don't see. Like you might see events like medal events that happen during the day, but they aren't super insanely popular. You know what I mean? Like the ski cross or the snowboard cross and that type of thing. And it's just and then Ahmad Fareed took over for her for that too, a few days of that. And then I know he was a studio host and like a pair for the NBA All-Star game when Mike Tirico was not there. More Maria Taylor's doing the Olympics because Maria Taylor could do that. And I believe she was doing Cincinnati basketball on NBA, and she was doing WNBA as well. And I know so yeah. And I know Brittany Earn, she was doing like the bobsled luge. She was doing the skeleton luge bobsled. She was at the House of Speed doing like the reporter there in Milan. So, and then she's gonna host and Courtney for Lacey Anderson, Mallory Wegman, Chris Waddell. They're gonna be this first disabled host of the Paralympic Winter Games, which is awesome. And then the Paralympic snowboarder, Mike Shea, and Paralympic medalist swimmer Sophia Gibb. They're gonna be on Paralympic debuts. And then Mike Shea is going to be a snowboarding analyst. He was in snowboard cross in the Sochi Paralympics in 2014. He's going to call snowboarding events, and he's going to cover him alongside the U.S. Olympic freestyle skier Trace Worthington. So, which is awesome. They're going to have a Paralympic analyst, and then the call on is going to be a U.S. Olympian, which is awesome. So they're blend the Olympics and Paralympics together. Still have some people that people know and love from like the regular Olympics, and then kind of tie in like the Paralympic like host. Have people that maybe not the top tier people that are doing the Paralympics. Maybe like because they might be doing other sports broadcasts that they normally do, but some of them will do the Paralympics that you're familiar with from watching the Winter Olympics. They'll tie them in with some like disabled, like like the Paralympic athletes, former Paralympic athletes or Paralympic type hosts, like disabled hosts. They're like Paralympians. They look like Paralympians. So that's cool. I like that. When I say look like Paralympians, they might be like one leg. They might have like one leg and then one like prosthetic leg or prosthetic arm or missing an arm, completely. So that's cool. I like that, that they're adding like the Paralympic flavor into the hosts. I like that. Sophia Gibb, she's gonna be an on-site reporter in Cortina, covering like different either reporting at sports events that being a sideline reporter in Cortina for maybe curling. That's where curling is, or for other events, And then Bill Spalding is going to call biathlon, alongside Chad Salma, their second consecutive Winter Paralympics. I believe that could be the same crew that did the biathlon. It could be like the same that did biathlon or cross country skiing or whatever for the Olympics. It seems pretty they seem familiar, so they could have done like biathlon together. Looks like they in the Olympics, so they're doing the second Winter Paralympics together. And then Chris Foster's, he did some women's hockey at the Olympics. He was like not in person studio host, but like in person commentator. But he was like one of those that did like in like the remote site in Stamford, Connecticut there. I believe it's like Stamford is where is in there, and they're gonna have the hosts right there, and they're gonna have that, and then they're gonna have he was doing some games of hockey that was not the U.S. and he did the two games. He did the two games that were for the quarterfinals in CBC on the second Saturday of the Olympics. The Olympic winter, so he did that. So, and then I know and then he did ski mountaineer. He did that, and I know he did some other maybe if there was other U.S. team games, and he did the ski mountaineering as well. And he's going to do sled hockey play-by-play to do. That's his 4th consecutive Paralympic Games. I don't believe he did during the regular Summer Olympics. I don't believe he did basketball, non U.S. team games. I know he's known for doing basketball, like college basketball. Maybe NBA on Peacock. He's probably doing he's doing probably I know he did basketball, college basketball, and he did that during the Summer Olympics, and then he is doing the 4th consecutive Paralympics. I know he did I want to say he did wheelchair rugby during the Paralympics, Summer Paralympics as well. I remember right here. And then Taylor Lipset, he's going to be Paralympics. Lucky Gomez, Taylor Lipset, he is in his 3rd Paralympic assignment. And Jim Cosmer, surf mountaineer. His name is John. He's going to be a wheelchair current play-by-play voice. He was in 2022 Beijing, and he's doing 2026 in Milan. Cortina. And he's going to do 2018 US Paralympic Justin Marshall. And then there's going to be 5 different reporters through just 3 different locations throughout Northern Ireland. So Andrea Joyce, she is doing the Olympics. She was doing figure skating. She was doing like out and about stuff in like that, and then she was also doing she was doing the figure skating. She was doing the she was like U.S. like athletes. She was interviewing U.S. athletes or like the Olympics for figure skating. She's going to be doing that for the Paralympics. She's going to be right in Northern Italy, in Milan. And Lewis Johnson is going to be in Val di Fiemme. He is the 7th consecutive Paralympics. He's been doing Paralympics for a long while. Even on Paralympics, or barely on NBC, maybe just like the bare minimum. Maybe on NBC or none at all on NBC. They're all on like USA Network Cuts 2024, 2022, 7, 2020. He's been since 2014. What was that, like Rio? No, Sochi. Rio was 2016 for the summer, but he was in Sochi in the Sochi Paralympics. So, and then Gibb and Andy Stevens. Sophia Gibb and Andy Stevens is going to be doing a report from Cortina, which is where the currently mainly is. And then NBC News correspondent Emily Ekeda is a roving reporter covering the stories across all 3 regions. Yes, she's going to be part of NBC News' news coverage for the Paralympics. And she's going to be doing that because they're going to have the NBC Paralympic stories on NBC. On NBC News. Which is cool. And then Tony McCarthy and Norma Jean, descriptive commentators. So that could be people who are like hard of hearing. Like not hard of hearing, but like could be like, but I guess like they can't see, like kind of for like the blind people. That's more what it is. But descriptive commentators, you get like vision impairment or blindness. That's more of what descriptive commentators would be. I mean, I guess you could do like descriptive commentators for people who can't hear as well. You could do like sign language commentators, but we'll see what the role is. Is it for Just people who can't see, like blind people, or is it or are they doing sign language for hard of hearing? For people with deaf people are hard of hearing, super hard of hearing, or vision impaired or blindness. We'll see what they do. And then we have Tony Simone play-by-play, and Sarah Williams for alpine skiing. Alpine skiing is like slalom, downhill, and then they have cross-country skiing as well. Well, I wonder if all that's going to be included. I don't see where it says that, but Tony Simone and Sarah Will could be doing slalom to downhill. They could also be doing cross-country skiing as well, unless they're leaving cross-country skiing and they're having either it's to be determined who's the host of that, or they're using the world feed for cross-country skiing. That for sure. Wes Bond for his play-by-play. Chad Salma is the analyst for biathlon. Chris Foster's and Taylor Upset for Saki. Jason to make shave for Sober, and Jim Kuzma and Justin Marshall for electric run. And then so there you have it. So we'll see. So now the Paralympic winner hosts have been announced. The commentators and the hosts and all. They have not announced the host for the opening ceremony. It could be opening and closing ceremonies. It could be Sophia Gibb, Liz Johnson, Andrew Joyce, Annie Stevenson, Emily Gida. Could be all of them, the reporters, those site reporters, like city reporters. Could be those on there. It could also be like Brittany Earn. I know Ahmad Fareed is going to host a Paralympic night shows on NBC. I know I remember him doing that for the 2024 the Paris Paralympics. He did that as a studio reporter, as a studio host in NBC Sports Studios for the Paris Paralympics. The Paris Paralympics, he did as a studio host in like NBC's Sports News, like I said, doing like the hour or two recap shows that they're doing for the Paris Paralympics. They did for the Paris Paralympics. They had an hour or so, maybe like live or tape delay, like stuff on like NBC similar to what they're doing now, like as like filler coverage, like in between like live sports, other live sports they want to show, they're not just like, hey, we're gonna like when NASCAR was on 2024, and they said we're gonna have NASCAR's gonna take a break for the Olympics, because they're not gonna, it's gonna every race would then be on like CNBC or. They would put them on like CNBC or, at Peacock, and they don't want to do that. You have to. The only way you can watch it is on streaming. They'll take. And he says that they're going to get way less viewership than they would. If they weren't overlapped. And they know that. So, but anyways, yeah. But yeah, so we'll see what goes on. Yeah, this is cool. Having we'll see what we already seen the TV schedule, but we'll see if there's just what they mention on TV. Is it but they don't even have the NBC coverage out, and for the Olympics. They had NBC's coverage, and they had NBC's coverage, and on Peacock, and they don't even have NBC's coverage on Peacock yet. So I'm wondering about that. I'm wondering about NBC's coverage of the Paralympics, if they're gonna have that on Peacock, which I'm assuming they would. Though I'm not for sure yet. No. Which I'm assuming they would. And then they're going to have NBC's Pyramid. So we'll see what goes on. But they said March 2nd, which is Monday. Paralympic. More of the schedule would be announced for the Paris Paralympics. Then they're finalizing the schedule. Again, that finalized showing, that like they're showing that, and they're gonna finalize like what they can show using the world feed, using the international. Like, they have the U.S. They have the International Olympic Broadcasting Committee, and they have the International Paralympic Broadcasting Committee as well for the Paralympics. So I'm wondering if what either they might not show everything, for like sled hockey and curling, because sometimes they did that for certain things, for certain courts of tennis, and certain courts of like bocce and related, or certain matches. They didn't either. They chose not to show them, or they either chose not to show them. They only chose to show like the featured courts, or not every court was televised on. So we'll see what they do, but we got more idea of their coverage plans on Monday, March 2nd. So that'll be nice. To get that update on that. So